Welcome to another episode of Becoming a Techno Wizard. And today, going to talk about my research plan, trying to build a business or an organization. Not sure exactly what it's going to be. But again, I've been procrastinating on it. So these videos will help me hopefully be more accountable. Um, I can't show, I've been redoing my research plan for my business um, as I've been taking this class called Ask Like a Pro. But unfortunately, I can't show that because it's under like NDA with their how they have the setup. But I can show what I've been learning in terms of recreating how to create a good research plan. So I'm going to show you what I have before, read through that, and kind of talk through how I'm thinking about redoing that plan based on what I've been learning. All right. So once again, 15 minutes. Let's go. I probably should have actually shared my screen first, but let's go ahead and do that. So just to recap, my business or idea is centered around the concept of SB Kaufman's sailboat model and this idea of being able to create a better world by enabling or empowering people to, become their best selves. So I'm going to step back a little bit. I'll probably put some stuff in the show notes as well with my other stuff, but the general idea for my business, I have different versions of them. Basically, the big idea, a platform for unlocking humanity's potential by curating all knowledge, resources, and networks for individuals. We use research to definitively solve important problems with custom, contextualized solutions. People can participate in a marketplace where they can then tip the platform or subscribe for more help or even buy turnkey tools. That's kind of like the business model piece. So as you can see, I've been working on different versions of this. So this one sentence version is creating an ecosystem for self-fulfillment by personalizing the world's knowledge and making it more useful to every individual's needs. So it's very kind of it's still a little nebulous, but I think it has to be because again the plan here is not some it's not to create some one product or one service. It's to create a suite of services. It's to create a general process, right, for helping people to live their best lives and be their best selves. So this is how I had my research plan before. Project Sankofa, that's the kind of ongoing name. It's not really the official name. And Sankofa is an African, specifically, I think, a Dinkra term for um, kind of this concept of going back into history and pulling things forward to use for the future. That's almost like not exactly literal, but that's basically what it means. Anyways, so, a platform to personalize the world's knowledge to make it more useful and accessible. The ultimate vision is to help people unlock their full potential through healthy transcendence. To get there, we will start with a service that curates resource and knowledge based on individuals' specific needs and context. The need for this service has been aggregated from years of observations, personal experiences, and publicly available research data about mental health, well being, and productivity and career paths. There needs to be more data backed clarity about exactly what needs and pain points people have when it comes to living a good life. I might actually pull this part out because that's like the super important part. The rest is background. Creating the business plan has helped realize how little is known about the target audience or even who the initial target audience should be. This study is to learn more about the core problems people are facing when it comes to having their needs met, which problems are more painful, how they currently attempt to solve those problems, and the level of effectiveness with the current solutions. So I'm not going to go into my business plan. Already I've done that. You can see that in the notes, whatever. But my target audience I was imagining is people who are well, starting with is eventually is going to be everywhere, everybody, but starting with and I know that's you're not supposed to say that as a business, but whatever. Starting with low income people, people who are struggling through poverty and things like that, who usually don't have access to the same amount of resources or knowledge sources that other people have access to. And the reason why this is important is because people claim that you can just Google anything, right? You can just Google how to help or whatever. What I've learned and what research shows is that Google and just researching things are, first of all, is based on, it's highly personalized, right? Your algorithm is highly personalized based on what you've already been searching before. So even if you and I search the same things, we might not find the same resources. And the reason why that's problematic is because if there are fundamentally better, things that you can be doing and I can be doing, to be more motivated or to be more productive or whatever, right? You might find something that caters to your current issues, right? Like if you, and I say cater sounds like a good thing, but what I mean is that it might manipulate, right, your current issue, your current mindset, your current way of viewing the world. This is why so many people in lower income communities tend to fall for things like pyramid schemes and you know um self-help that gurus, right? That's not really helpful. It's because they when you go searching for things, that's what pops up, right? These self-help gurus pop up and you think, you're led to believe that these are the people that you should be following, right? Because they're everywhere on Google, and so of course that's where you should be looking at. But we know that that's not what you need. You might need actual therapists, actual psychologists. You might need resources that uh, get an understanding of your actual problems, whether it's addiction or monetary issues or being lonely and stuff like that, right? If you Google things, you might just as easily fall into a bad community, a community of you hear all this stuff about red pills and black pills and alpha males and all this stuff. Like people fall into these things because that's what people come up with when you just Google. So the expectation that people can learn whatever they want from online just by Googling or just by searching whatever is inaccurate, right? And if anything, it creates more problems. So we need, my idea here is that we need a better solution to allow people to say, okay, I need help, to whether it's to get out of poverty or to find friends or to be more productive. And here's a vetted, right, here's a vetted resource pool. Here's a resource pool of actual psychologists, actual social workers, actual people who actually care, right, who actually know what they're talking about. And these are the resources that you can use right now in your life, right? um, so that's kind of why I think I want to focus on that specific group, on low income people. But the problem is, like, that could be a very wide thing, right? What part of the low income people is it? People who are dealing with, addiction, or is it people who are dealing with housing? Is it people who are dealing with food, or maybe it's all of those? I don't know. I don't know. I want to start with a niche of that group, right, to have a better chance of this even working out in the first place. So that's one thing, is that I need to clarify, who this is going to be for, who I'm looking at. So these objectives and goals. The research question, I have this part where my assumptions, because what I've learned is that you want to you want to lay out what your assumptions are, right? Sometimes we believe that we don't have assumptions, that we can just kind of take away our assumptions. But the reality is we always have assumptions, whether we admit it or not. So it's better to write down what you think your assumptions are, so you can have a better, you can be sure, or at least you can be more sure, right, that you are aware of these things, that you're aware of any particular biases, and that if you have a team, your team can then look at these assumptions and say, okay, maybe we should look at that again. Maybe we're going down the wrong path because we have that assumption. So here's my assumptions here. I was really just phasing these as questions, but I actually completely redid this, so I can share what I have now. I'm gonna copy this over from my new plan, put this here, boom. So before I was kind of asking questions. Um, yeah, these are questions that I want to answer about this assumption. So this is kind of how I answer. It's not exactly for those, but other ones. So some of my assumptions I have so far is that I think low income people are an underserved audience. I think that's an easy assumption to have, but it could be wrong, could be right. But that's one assumption I have, that low income people, despite all the programs out there, the welfare programs or whatever, still there's a lot of places in which low income people are underserved, don't are are not really being met in the market for their needs. Right, their needs are not being met in the marketplace. I think low income people have the largest pain points. I think that's also obvious, right? It's low income people that are suffering more from poverty, from food insecurity, from housing insecurity, maybe even from loneliness. I'm not sure, um, from a number of other pain points. The business will likely pursue a crowdfunding business model, which requires a large amount of information about the people we want to help, why we think we can help them, how we plan to do so, and so on. So, yeah, another, I think, obvious assumption that maybe even easily defensible, but the idea here is that it's still what I'm thinking is that because I want to go the crowdfunding model, people are going to want to make sure that I know what I'm talking about, right? I'm just not out here just trying to take people's money for whatever reason and can't execute. So I need to be sure we have, enough information. At least I think so. Maybe I might be wrong. Maybe people don't care in the crowdfunding model, um, how much information you have. Maybe they just want to feel connected with people, whatever. I don't know. But that's my assumption so far. A 1 or 2 hour research session will be enough to get an initial understanding of unmet needs and core problems people have. So this is a really big one. Might actually move this to the top or something like that. But unfortunately, you know, it's going to be difficult, right? What I'm trying to do here is talk to people to really get down to what they think some of the core problems are in their lives. So number one, we're gonna have to see, are people even gonna be open to sharing that information with me? Like, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, I'm not there to try to solve their problems directly. What I'm trying to do is get an idea of what their problems are, right? And I hope people will be open to that idea. I hope people will want to share because of that. But it's real, like, I'm not sure. It can very easily be that people don't wouldn't want to talk to me, wouldn't want to go get that deep, or whatever. So another one, contextual inquiry will be sufficient to unearth some valuable insights on how they currently find resources and provide guidance on and better options. So yeah, contextual inquiry is basically sort of similar to something like a usability test where I'm watching them do their process. Um, but I'm asking them questions along the way. So it's not just sitting back and just watching them. I'm also, saying, okay, why did you do that? What made you, get into that? So the reason I'm doing this is because I think I may have put this somewhere else, but I'm thinking that contextual inquiry will give me a better idea as to why they're maybe for instance they use Google, right, to figure out things about their lives to solve their problems. But I could ask them, okay, what made you want to use Google? What made you search that specific term? If I just watch them and don't say anything, I would have no idea why they chose to do what they did. And the learning the why is an extremely important part to learning what the actual problem is. Number six is people will be willing to share sensitive information about their situation despite my not being an expert due to desire to get help wherever they can find it. Yeah, so again, it's similar to this one, to number four. But it's a real problem. I'm really concerned about that, but we'll see. Number seven, people will have problems that can begin to be solved with access to curated resources such as articles, books, podcasts, blah blah blah, as well as initiatives, qualify other and other help they may qualify for but do not know about. So yeah, basically what I'm saying here is that my assumption is that I can help them by giving them better resources, right? I don't have to be a therapist. I can just say, okay, here are there's some good resources that you haven't known about, like the book, Transcend, or this other book another psychologist wrote. Like I can show people these resources, and hopefully that will be a good step in the right direction. Number eight, I or my team of researchers will be able to find relevant resources for people more quickly, easily, or reliably than they may be able to find on their own. So this one I came up with because as I was talking about my idea with my friends and some business people I knew, they would ask like, okay, this sounds interesting, but why do you think this is actual business? Why can't people just look this up, this information up themselves? And I would say because like from as a person that makes it a habit, to find this information, I will be able to find it more easily than just a random, person who doesn't care about this information or doesn't think it exists, right? And I'm generally, I'm not even a high level researcher or anything like that. So if I have a team of researchers, people who are used to finding good information online, they would definitely be able to be more specialized in this field. So this is an assumption I have. Again, it's very kind of easily defensible, but it is an assumption. Number nine, low income refers to anybody who earns income under the poverty line or lives in a household where they make under the poverty line. So I put this here as an assumption because even though it seems I only have 30 seconds, but whatever. Even though it seems objectively true, the truth is that low income may refer to people like when I say low income, I'm thinking about people who are struggling through poverty, but in America especially, it may also refer to people who are making like $100,000 a year, but who have a lot of bills for some reason, right? And every they still live in paycheck to paycheck because maybe they live in LA or New York, right? They live in an expensive city, and most of their money goes to rent and these other bills like that. So this is an assumption I'm making that when I say under the poverty line, I'm thinking like under $20,000 a year for a one or two people or a household, making below 40,000 or whatever is the current poverty line stuff, right? That's my kind of idea for what low income is. But maybe it may again I may have to I may have to update this depending on my research, right? I might have to update this to middle class people or just people who are on paper making a lot of money, but in reality still living paycheck to paycheck. Number 10, the poverty line is a sufficient starting point to differentiate between people who are struggling to make a living due to lack of resources. Yeah, this is basically the same thing as this one. So said it in two different ways because this one is specifically referring to the poverty line with whatever that is. And this one is more maybe I just conflate those and just have something else. But anyways, that's 15 minutes. 15 minutes is up. So again, this seems short. I may have to move this up for real, but I have other things to do. So, as always, thanks for watching, and I hope this was interesting for you. If not, please let me know, and feel free to let me know in the comments. This is an experiment, and I'm always learning and trying to do new things. So, yeah, thanks for watching. See ya. Bye bye.